Hello, hello. How are you? My name is Chad Allen, and welcome to my live call. And today we are going to be discussing about COVID-19 and what I just learned a little bit about mouth mask and what is mouth mask. Oh my goodness! And we will discuss that here in just a little bit. But before we get started, I want to take you to my website. If you ever when you get the opportunity, chadallen.net, CHADALLAN.net, and you can definitely check out my freebie there. It's on the homepage or chadallen.net/freebie, FREEBIE. And a little bit about myself. When I first got married in 2015, and in 2016, my wife developed breast cancer, and she was 30 weeks pregnant at the time when we found out that she had breast cancer. And then, unfortunately, 9 months after the birth of our daughter, she ended up dying of the breast cancer. And since then, I've been looking for a way to help other people with their immune system, to boost it up, to also help them with their if they were to have cancer or whatnot. And really wanted to find a way to help these people. And I believe I really found that way with something that I believe very, very strongly in. So you could definitely learn more about that by going to chadallen.net, CHADALLAN.net/Chad Allen. So, there big news today, and it's been all over the news, and everybody knows about it. About President Trump and his wife getting diagnosed with COVID-19, and it brought me back to the masks and the effectiveness of masks in general. And then I remember about Governor Northam, Virginia's Governor Northam, who had a mask mandate that where the whole state is in a mask mandate where everybody's required to wear a mask, unless, of course, you have a medical condition that keeps you from wearing a mask. So you have two contrasting people. You have one person and his wife who were all about masks. You must wear a mask. He mandated the mask, and they got COVID-19. They had a lockdown on the state, which was pretty rough for a while, but that started in May. Then you have a president who got tested every single day. Was getting tested every single day. Had his whole cabinet being tested every day, but was not always wearing a mask. So one was not wearing a mask all the time, but occasionally would wear a mask. The other one was always wearing a mask and had a mask mandate in place, but yet, of course, he was caught in Virginia Beach without a mask, even though he claims that it wasn't him. But that's a whole nother story. So you have two contrasting styles where they stated that they both got COVID-19. One mandates mask, the other one was not always wearing a mask. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you in the short run? Basically, masks in general is not 100% COVID-19 proof. It's just not. And if we were to say that it was, then we are only kidding ourselves, because if masks were 100% COVID-19, they kept you from getting COVID-19, then the person who had the mask mandate would not be getting sick. And of course, President Trump, who was getting tested constantly every single day, or his team was getting tested every single day, would also not develop COVID-19. So in general, what this means is that you can't stop a virus no matter how hard you try. And sometimes you just have to do what is necessary for yourself in order to protect yourself. If you believe that masks in general is the right step for you to take, then wear a mask. If not, then don't wear a mask. You should not be forced to wear a mask. if it's not something that you believe in. So that's there's that. Now there is a thing that's called mouth masks, and I found this to be very, very interesting. And I think this really applies to people are who wear masks constantly. What I mean by people who wear masks constantly, these are people that wear a mask while they're driving in the car. These are people that are wearing masks while they're in the house. These are people that are wearing masks while they are in a grocery store and they never take the mask off. They have the gloves on their hands, whatever. So there's a thing that's called mouth mask. And the dentists have started to notice these things when they began to reopen for dental practice. And basically, what they term as mouth mask is basically just saying that there is a development of cavities being built up in the mouth. There is gum disease being developed. There is other issues also related to the gums that are being entities that are really attacking the mouth, and they're really like they're really they really can't believe it because it's like, oh my goodness, there's people's teeth are much worse. The people who had perfect teeth at the beginning of the year because they're wearing masks all the time, all of a sudden are developing cavities and other issues with their mouth. So why is this? So common sense. So let's use a little bit of I guess what you want to call it, common sense or science, whatever you want to call it. Imagine for a moment that you're constantly wearing a mask, and ask yourself this: when you're constantly wearing a mask, can you breathe out the bacteria? And the answer to that would be probably not. Does air get through the mask? Yes, it does. But does the particles that are a little bit bigger than the air that's going through, can that make it through? And the answer to that is probably not. So not only is the bacteria being stopped by the mask, you are also breathing in the bacteria back into your mouth. So this creates several issues because when you really do the research, you will see other issues that come up. So not only is it creating mouth and tooth decay problems, it is also causing other respiratory issues that you would not normally see by people who are not wearing masks. So people will say, well, mask helps you, it keeps you safe. Well, yeah, if you wore it like you're supposed to, if you're like you're doing it like you're in a hospital, you're donning it on properly, you're donning it off, you're throwing away the cloth mask whenever after each use, you're taking you're taking your standard mask that's not disposable, and you're washing it daily, or you have multiple masks and you're exchanging them after each use. Okay, so maybe the mask will really be effective. But so the real issue then, because you're always wearing the mask and you're developing all this bacteria that's coming into your mouth, you're developing mouth mask, what the dentists call mouth mask. So, question for you: should you really wear masks constantly? And the answer to that is no. You need to breathe. You need to take off the mask, and you need to breathe. You need to do whatever it takes to bring in fresh air to your body. So it's just, to me, it's just amazing. And so let's go. So now let's talk about President Trump and also Governor Northam, because these are two very contrasting styles when it comes to ideology. Of course, one is a Democrat, the other one is a Republican, and one believes that the economy should be shut down. The other one believes that the economy should be open. One believes that everyone should be wearing masks. The other believes that masks should not be mandated. So when it comes to looking at what has happened now, I think it's really safe to say that masks should not really be mandated at all. It should be something that you do as because you believe that it's your best option for yourself. And when we allow others to dictate what we should do and what we should not do, then that becomes a problem because we get to the point where the government is dictating what you do, and is basically what that basically becomes a form of communism, socialism, that kind of thing, where the government is dictating to you how you should live your life, and that should not be the case at all. And COVID-19 has a 99 point whatever percent survival rate, and we should not. You should live your life. You should really, really live your life. So that's really my 2 cents worth on that. So, but for those who are wanting to wear a mask, yeah, it's totally okay. Wear the mask. You should not be demonized for wearing a mask, and you should not be demonized for not wearing a mask. And you should learn. You should know to also to stand your ground and to really fight for your rights as an American. So next, if the masks are not enough, let's say you're in a high COVID area, because I'm actually in a higher COVID area, but it's starting to decline, and we've had over, I think with the city and county together, I think we've had close to 3,000 cases in just my little area. And my little area is probably, if you combine the population of the county and city, you're probably looking at about 150,000 people total. And so there's a really high case, and we were also one of the epicenters. I don't know if you noticed, but we were one of the epicenters of a major outbreak at a senior citizen home. I won't name the name, but this particular spot had, I believe, almost 20 deaths, and maybe in a 1 to 1.5 week period. So it was quite uh, the story, but I don't think it ever got national because it was with all the other things that were going on with COVID-19. But yeah, so I live in an area that was really famous for that particular incident, and it's because it's either because the hospitals were sending COVID asymptomatic patients to the senior citizen homes, or somebody was walking in and then that developed and that started the outbreak. So I don't know which one actually happened, and I'm just really amazed. I'm just really amazed at the politicization of this, because it should never really be a political issue, but it is. It's often, it has become a very strong political issue, and shame on the people. Shame on the people who wish for the death of the president. And I would say the same thing for those who wish for the death of Governor Northam. You may not like Governor Northam, and you may not like President Trump, but that does not give you the right to tell them that they should die. Are you happy that they got sick and they should do this or that? That is completely wrong. And we may disagree politically on issues, but you don't have that right to do that. It's completely wrong. Not only is it wrong, but if you're a Christian, it's unchristian to do that. And God tells us that we need to pray for our leaders, and even if we disagree with them, we need to keep them in prayer, because perhaps God is using them for a very, very specific purpose, and perhaps God will use them to, and maybe He'll change their heart. You just don't know. But if they don't change their heart, then God deals with that too, right? Because God is the one that puts people in power, and He can take that person out of power just as easily. So we really need to remember that, and that God has a very specific purpose for our leaders, and we need to respect that. But does that mean that we don't do anything? Does that mean that we just sit back and do nothing? No, it does not. There comes a time when, especially like for, and I'm gonna get off topic just for a little bit, because I was really disturbed with our governor, who came out with a particular law that stated that if the churches do not teach uh, the LGBTQ ideology within their churches, it's government ideology that was passed at Virginia and signed by the governor. If they don't teach it, then that would give the government the right to either close down that church, or they would charge them $100,000 per incident, or something to that effect. So is it so as Christians, what are we doing? If we're not willing to stand up for what we believe in, whether it be to fight against the mask mandates, or whether it be to fight for religious freedom within America, then how can we ever expect the freedom to continue? God calls us to fight against those things, to rise up, not only in prayer, because prayer is the most important. We rise up in prayer, we intercede, but we also act on that intercession, because God says, what does God say? God says, I am looking for one who will stand in the gap and fight for me, who will build that wall. He will do what I want, who I'm asking him or her to do. I'm looking for that person that will stand in the gap and fight for me. So God needs us to fight for Him, and that is very, very important. And I believe that this mask mandate, in many cases, has been used to control people, to control the church, to control how you live, to control what you can do, what you can and cannot do, to control every aspect of your life. So, is it really right that the government has that ability to do those very things, to keep you from worshiping? This is the problem with the mask mandate, because when you allow the mask mandate to continue, then whenever someone who does a little bit of civil disobedience and does not wear a mask, what happens to that person? Well, basically, what happens to that person is that they get arrested. Remember the lady in Ohio who went to the school to watch her son play football. What happened to that poor lady? She did not wear a mask. She got arrested by a couple of cops, by the school administration, who, by the way, the cheerleaders were not wearing a mask. The cop had the mask down below his cheek, and they embarrassed her and her son. I mean, what is this country coming to if we are not willing to stand firm and stand up against these very things that are very, in my opinion, quite contradictory? And it's a shame that we are allowing our freedoms to be played with, and it should not be that way. We should be standing firm, and especially as Christians, if why are pastors being arrested in other states? Why are pastors being arrested for holding worship service? And because they are defying the mask's order. It's because they are having in-person service. So because they are standing up against the atrocities of these governments, these state governments, they are getting arrested. They are being charged with whatever, and a that is completely wrong. Now there are people out there that would say, "Oh, because you can do everything online, you can worship online through Skype, through Zoom, or through Facebook or whatever." And I would tell those people, "Yes, you can, but it's not the same as being in person." God says, "Do not forsake the assembly of yourselves." Now, is online assembling with others? Yes and no, because even if you're online, it does not have the same feel as if you're there in person. And we are stronger. The Christian is stronger when you are together as one. And that is, in my opinion, that is what governments like Virginia, California, Idaho, and other states that are trying to forbid the Christian from worshiping in person, and it's completely wrong. And they used this mask mandate as a crutch to defame and destroy the church. Why defame and crush the church? Just as Amy Coney Barrett, who is who's coming up for the Supreme Court confirmation. What did they do? They attack her faith. All because she signs a pro-life letter. Oh man, that's the most evilest thing in the world according to certain people. But that is the very thing that as Christians we should be standing up for. How can we vote for somebody? If you're a Christian, how can you vote for somebody who is pro-abortion, who is anti-freedom, who hates God in every single way? How can you vote for this type of people? And I'm talking about both sides of the aisle. By the way, there are both sides of the aisle that are like that. As Christians, you cannot be voting for people like that. If you're voting for abortion, you are saying that you are supporting the murder of God's creation, because God created the human being. God created the baby within you. So I may lose customers off of that, but you know what? I don't care, because if you don't stand up for Christ, if you don't stand up for Jesus, then Jesus will not stand up for you when it comes to judgment. So we have to be able to defend what is right in God's eyes, not defend what is atrocious and evil in his eyes. And if the church is not willing to stand up, then God will continue to deliver our country, the U.S. to uh, these demonic issues that are plaguing the country. You know, and I would say that the mask mandates, while it's not an evil thing, but the intentions behind the people that are forcing these things are most certainly, have evil intentions behind them. And it just so happens that COVID-19 and these masks are part of that control factor, to usher in wherever it is that they're trying to usher in. So I just want to encourage you, because I don't want you to be a person that is going to uh I want you to be a very healthy person. I don't want you to be someone who is suffering uh at the hands of a government mandate or whatever. I want you to be healthy, and I want you to be well educated in what is going on. And the masks, if you wear the mask, if you wear the masks constantly, you are going you there is a potential. It doesn't mean that you will that this will happen. There is a potential to develop things like mouth masks and other respiratory issues. So just keep that in mind because you're breathing in the bacteria. You gotta give your face. You gotta be able to have free breathing. You just don't be wearing a mask in a car. If don't be wearing a mask inside your house if you don't need to, because uh, you want to be able to breathe and circulate fresh air within you. So anyway, I think I rambled on enough. And for those who joined me, I want to thank you for being on my live call. And you can definitely check me out on YouTube at Chad Allen. But you can go to my website, chadallen.net, CHADALLAN.net, and the YouTube channels there, the Facebook, all that stuff. It's all there, linked there for you. You can also get my freebie there, all about immune messengers and how I use immune messengers, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic thing. And it's the best thing in the world that has really helped me not get sick with the COVID. And then maybe I did get sick with the COVID. I don't know, but if I did, it really fought it quickly and easily. So I'm really happy about that. So you can check that out at chadallen.net/freebie, FREEBIE, and that's chadallen.net/freebie, FREEBIE. I will put that as a ticker for you so that you can see it on the bottom there. And I want to thank you so much for being on my live call. And if you got value out of this, please share it with your friends and family. And also be sure to comment below, and I will definitely say hi to you and comment back. And also, if you're not a subscriber on my YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And we will talk to you later on. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you on Monday. Same time.